They're going to elect to go to slick tires. He may be watching this as well as Sullivan mired back in 8th place. We told you he was the early leader. And several more going to spin. Sullivan into the corner. And could have been the wet.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. You know, it's too hard to race on slick tires in any kind of water whatsoever. There's puddles all over the place.
Count the laps on 2 fingers. There are less than 2 laps to go, and it is Michael Andretti looking to pick off where he ended last year here in Miami when he won the race. And here's Al Jr. going to the inside. Oh, he almost slammed the door.
He did lose it. He's going to hit. He did lose it.
Hitting very hard is Al Jr.
There's a tremendous amount of water. That was right in front of us here, and there's actually running water across the track, and Al ran just a couple feet offline.
And there's the look from the team, and there's the look from the race car. Marlboro Challenge, but the great story is here with 1 lap to go in the race, rounding out of turn 9. Al Unser Jr. just let it all hang out, tried to take the lead, and watch what happens.
An aggressive little Al just tried a place he'd never been before on the track, and the water was a little bit deeper than he reckoned for.
Now you want to take a look and ride with a driver when he has a problem like this in turn 9? Watch this. And his hopes and dreams and aspirations of the winner's check in the Marlboro Challenge went up with busted fiberglass. Al Unser Jr. did manage to hold.
Jackaroo, that is a fascinating point. If we watch, there's the leader, Rick Mears. He touched with Randy Lewis and spins. Let's see if he keeps the engine going, if he can keep the car going. I don't think so.
The car's damaged, Paul. Look at the left rear tire. It's gone flat. That was heavy contact.
How sad. Our first yellow flag of the day comes on the 22nd lap. Ski team, as we take a look at Rick Mears still sitting in the car. The bright yellow machine, that's Rick. As he moves up, they tell all the drivers, keep an eye on your mirrors, keep out of the way. And it looked like Randy Lewis just kept coming up.
Yes, but Randy Lewis was still coming out of the turn when that happened. And Rick, he would have had to look back right at that moment. Bobby, don't you agree that's a tough moment to have to look back in your mirror?
He was, Rick was more than halfway up on Randy, Sam. Randy should have seen him and should have given him racing room. He already knew that he was being lapped. I just don't see that there was much of an excuse for that.
Rick did a remarkable job keeping the car away from that wall as he spun around on the main stretch. We have another opportunity to take a look at this situation. There was an interesting conversation that I was part of. The pace lap was Emerson Fittipaldi. He's with Jerry Gapp.
Oh, no.
Got a car
right there. We just see it there from Michael Andretti's car. I think
that is Dick Simon's.
Yes, yep, between turn 1 and turn 2. Dick Simon, who was doing so well moments ago, he was running, in fact, in 4th place, has buried it into the turn.
It's not over till it's over, but it could be over for Scott Atchison. There's old Johnny Parsons.
Whoa! He's hitting the wall.
JP, that's clever.
And he keeps it away from contact with the wall once again, but he has damaged the right side of that car, and so Johnny Parsons attempt to get the car up to qualifying speed.
Hit the wall.
Well, that car has given A.J. Foyt a problem, too, in the laps that Foyt has put on it. Here it is once again, and the rear end just got out from under him, David.
The rear end got away. He got it back, but unfortunately, he had missed the apex then and was too far up and gave the wall a pretty good clout. And, of course, that's one of those things with these wing cars. They're so susceptible to a little bit of change.
Drops the 4th. Denny Sullivan leads down the backstretch. Then Mears. Now watch this fight here. Yellow flag is out as a car against the wall. Roberto Guerrero, and it looks to be Scotty Brayton. A 3rd car is there as well. On the first lap, exactly what is the most fearsome moment of the race. What we have feared, what everyone fears. The yellow flag is out. Less than a lap is complete, and the race is running under yellow.
Consecutive Indianapolis 500.
All right, we watch here. Here is one angle. You can see up in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, coming off of the 2nd turn. One car apparently losing it. Brayton and Guerrero go to the wall right in front of the corporate suites and slide along that wall. Dangerous situation here for Guerrero because he's pointed nose in, the softest part of the car. And look at that wheel bounce.
That can hurt you if a wheel comes up and hits you. And interestingly, as we have a look now from the race cam, there's
Scott Michael Andretti's car. That's Scotty Brayton behind.
This may be the best coverage.
He's already started to lose it. Now he loses it sideways. Guerrero goes high. But that was the wrong direction as Scotty takes Guerrero to the wall.
Brayton lost it right on the painted line, didn't he? Exactly what happened to Danny Sullivan 3 years ago. It's very hard with these cars, especially when the tires are still cold, to go over the paint without losing control.
There you see both cars locked up.
Not Guerrero's fault at all. He was taken out by Brayton, clear as a bell, wouldn't you say?
So perhaps, fortunately, they were not moving at full speed, and that may have kept this from being worse than it actually is. The tire bounces to a stop. Back on the track, Al Unser, who was the leader for the moment, and a car with a problem on the pits as the yellow flag comes out.
Looks
The yellow
like
flag
Sneva.
comes out.
Looks like Tom Sneva. Tom Sneva, the former Indianapolis champion.
And what a terrible situation this is. Sneva started 14th. He moved up to first place, was coming for the pits, and smacked into the wall. Tom Sneva climbs out of his car and walks away.
He's actually in the pit lane, Paul.
Very rough, and also they're so accustomed to running fast. Now watch. Perhaps we can see here what happened to Tom Sneva. He actually lost it coming off of the fourth turn, tapped the outside wall, and spun down into the pit area.
Look how lucky he was not to hit the end of the pit wall on the right there.
He was very lucky on that, Sam. He almost hit that, but he clipped the outside.
Tick over 13 seconds. Now the reason for the yellow flag, just before we rejoined you, was caused by A.J. Foyt. We watch him as he ricocheted off the wall, coming off of the second turn, slid to a stop, but A.J. Foyt, moving in the cockpit, threw with some frustration his steering wheel off. Let's go back and see if we can look at this accident, Bobby. Foyt ricochets off the wall. Hard to tell what got him up there, though, Bob.
Yes, I can't tell.
Well, the tire seems to have been off in advance of his impact, you think? I don't know.
Paul, he's the fence losing the tire, and we saw the replay just a snitch too late to make a decision on it, but his left front tire came out. He's also got the rear wing bent up.
But look in the foreground, either Rick Mears or Al Unser narrowly avoiding upper right of the screen there. That was a close call.
Started in
that interview with Jack a few moments ago. Just remember that at this point in the race last year, the car that was going to win the race, Al Unser Sr., was a lap behind. So Mears is still in real good shape.
Pace car rolls into the pit area, and Ludwig Heimreich cracks the wall coming off of the fourth turn. Everybody bubbles up behind him. Will everyone miss him? That's the question. He continues to spin. Danny Sullivan right there and part of it. Ludwig Heimreich Jr. as they come back to the green flag in trouble off of the fourth turn. What other problems will this accident have caused?
Oh, it's in that same slippery place. We've had some problems there before. Very slippery, but obviously...
Bobby, that's the second time we've seen an accident, a very similar accident right there. Here is Ludwig Heimreich, but let's look at the accident. He slips coming off of the fourth turn.
Well, I think it's just plain slippery up there, and he lost the car. We see no other car involved or any other reason for it, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened, Paul.
Watch for Danny. If this shot runs on, we'll see him come in from the right-hand side right now. Down in the foreground, Sullivan just squeaking by.
And it looked like he had the brakes locked as hard as they could without slipping because the car was twitching around a little bit.
So he lost a lot of ground from it, but at least he made it. You see, Ludwig came in there awfully fast, awfully hard. Didn't hit the wall all that hard, though, because his car's not bent that much.
Sullivan had the presence of mind to put his hand up.
Here's what Danny Sullivan saw.
Yeah, he put his hand up to warn the cars behind him. So Sullivan is driving one terrific race. There it is.
His hand up. He says the accident's occurring. He saw the smoke of the accident. What he doesn't know is that car is sliding across the track, coming down in front of him. Sullivan brings his hand back to the wheel, looks to the right to make sure that he has room to make the move that he makes. That is the ultimate professional racing driver. Danny Sullivan signals those behind him, protects them, brings his hands back in, checks the right, and goes around the accident.
Well, you know,
we're back live at the Indianapolis 500 as the yellow flag comes out. Let's go to the pits and Jack Arute.
Paul Page, for 31 years, this man has wrestled the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's won 4 times, but you lost today, A.J. Foyt.
Well, it just started off bad. We had a bad vibration nowhere to go, and we changed tires and killed the engine.
35 car Steve Chassis. Let's take a look at what happened. Up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, Bobby Unser. Steve Chassis lost it coming into the corner.
No, he didn't lose it. I'm sorry, Bobby, didn't mean to butt in. He touched wheels with another car. That's what triggered that.
Well, that was coming back for a restart, and there was another.
Well, here is the #1 car of Al Unser, currently running in 3rd place. Rick Mears currently runs in 2nd.
Oh,
and Danny Sullivan cracks the wall. Danny Sullivan, he had a glorious hit it again. He has no control over that car. Ricochets off the wall again, and the yellow flag comes out.
Paul, he loses the steering, he loses his brakes, he loses the whole thing. When that happens, he's just merely riding along in the car. There's Danny from the in-car camp trying to get out. He doesn't know through the fire, doesn't know anything, so he's hurrying as much as he can. A lot of straps, a lot of hoses to unhook to get out.
Front row, and the possible finish first, second, and third has come to an end. From the race camp, there it is. Whoa, what a slam.
Well, that was a hard hit, Paul.
A piece of the bodywork comes up, and there is the second hit, because, as we noted, once the car hit the wall, the steering and the braking was gone.
Drivers react to things so fast. I bet you Danny went through a whole cycle of emotional letdown even before that car came to a stop. You saw how quickly he flipped the wheel out of the way so that he could get out of the car.
Here we look at it again. The car slaps the wall. It is now totally out of control. Danny can do nothing. He's simply a passenger, and the wall is coming up again so very quickly.
Fortunately, see the liquid coming out of the bottom of it there. He just wore out the whole right side of the thing. So.
Fortunately, he climbed out of the car rather quickly, so I suspect he's not injured. Here is another angle. Whoa. Already has hit the first time, slaps the wall the second time. So Danny Sullivan, who dominated the early going in the Indianapolis miles an hour and leading the Indianapolis 500. The question to him, we have a problem. We have a problem on the course as the 17 car of Johnny Rutherford slaps into the wall, and another great champion's day is over. The three-time winner, hoping for his fourth, the teammate of Jim Crawford. Johnny's obviously all right. He's waiting for all of the cars to come past and slow down before he considers climbing out of that cockpit. So Johnny Rutherford, let's take a look. Third car. And Rutherford, vastly similar to the Sullivan accident, vastly similar to the accident that he had before in practice. The car just comes off the corner high. Now, Bobby Unser, let's examine this. We keep saying that the track is slippery, but we've seen this
trying to come in, so he should be coming in for his final fuel stop plus 3 tires the next time around. Paul?
Jim Crawford, the crew there, Bobby.
Well, the reason...
And another car into the wall.
That's Vogler, isn't it?
Well, it certainly looks like
by process of elimination, I think that, yes, it is Vogler.
It is,
yeah. Boy, has he had a physical day. Well, I made that prize fighter analogy.
2 times in a row. He obviously had some bad problems there.
So it's yellow as Rich Vogler into the wall at the Indianapolis 500, and Rick Mears is still the leader, but now Jim's in first. There is Rich Vogler, and he is leading Jim Crawford here. Sam?
All right, but it's when we see the car from behind that we get a clue as to what might have happened to Rich Vogler, because we see a little smoke coming out of the back of the car. Right, focus on that. Now let the picture go, and you see that smoke in there. You can see how desperately he's turning the car at this point.
But Sam, you're looking at front wheels going 2 different directions. It
Yes.
looks like a tie rod may have broken in the front.
Yes, we are. Yep, we are.
Now, the smoke coming out of the back, Paul, he's obviously got some problems there. The engine looks like it just exploded, either the engine or the transmission.
No, Bobby, I think Paul's assessment was good. The front tires were not pointed in the same direction seconds prior to impact. I think the smoke we may have been seeing was coming from cold and isolation. It's not for the average person. You've got.
And we've got little Al against the wall. Al Unser Jr. takes the wall. He was running in second.
Well, I didn't see what happened there, but he certainly bent the car. The front and the rear both bent, Paul, so that's definitely put him out of the race.
Well, it was very quick, just suddenly into the wall, almost as if something broke. Al Unser Jr. pulls off the steering wheel. There's the onboard camera as he begins now to unhook all of the equipment that keeps him in the cockpit, keeps him cool, keeps him...
There is Emerson Fittipaldi in 4th position. Right behind him is another one of those making their first-time appearance on the Portland Indycar. Oh, and Derek Daly has come together with Randy Lewis, and the front wing flies off of Derek Daly's car.
It looked like there was a little fish shaking there, so obviously it's another car out.
Dominic
Dobson pulls off. You can see what I'm talking about. See the rock stuck to the hot tires, so running slow out there. You've got to squeeze this off, but his car is smoking. Obviously the engine is expired. He's out. There's a few words there, it looks like.
Because of this, and once again it was in turn number 9.
very hard to tell there by the angle. You can see that Daly was off, and he's shaking his fist violently at Randy Lewis there. So obviously he felt as though Lewis punted him off. Here's another angle. There you can see Daly sliding off, and this is the infamous turn 9 where it happened, where Sullivan got sideways a while ago. So traffic gets a little thick down there, and there's not a lot of room to negotiate. So I'm sure they came together.
We've had a crash on the race course. The number 56 machine, driven by Rocky Moran, has made contact with the wall outside of turn number 10, and we have an overall yellow being displayed right now. That car
just behind, and a car stopped on the left-hand side. Yellow flags going, and Danny Sullivan. And Danny Sullivan, there's the pass, because Danny Sullivan came off the power there with those yellow flags being waved. Alan Sir Jr.'s taking advantage. He does a rip-off there, takes a lens off his visor, and he's now in the lead.
Kevin Cogan's in the wall. Kevin Cogan is in the wall.
Being hidden by the break-up truck there, the breakdown truck. He was in the car. His left front of the car's badly damaged, but it looks to me like Kevin's okay. He had his visor up. He was moving around quite.
We're back at the Toronto. Here is car number 24. That is Randy Lewis, and he has hit the wall again. He hit it in practice yesterday, and he has hit the wall again. Emerson Fittipaldi, who had the lead, came into the pits to make his first pit stop, and so he is going to drop back out of the lead. And just at that point, Randy Lewis went into the wall.
He's pretty keen to get out of that race car, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Oh, Bobby. Rick Mears is in 6th.
Very tight through the first corner there. That's Mears. They're now accelerating up to about 170 miles an hour. And we've got one of the cars stopped on the right-hand side. It looks as if he's run against Derek Daly's. Looks as if he's hard against the wall. And in fact, it's one of the young Andretti's.
John Andretti.
John Andretti. They must have come together. That's accident a couple of years ago. And here's a replay of this first corner incident. We'll look at the middle of the pack there as they look as if they're coming together. Let's see if we can spot the actual incident itself. It's just a little further back there. And there it is. It takes place there. And there you see Daly's car is the red car, and John Andretti is the blue and green car. It seems that they just rubbed themselves into timing again. And my God.
Rocky Moran has come sliding against the wall, and he has stopped. That's in the short chute coming out of the Andretti turn and before the arena chicane. And that's just about on the line, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's certainly on the racing line. The yellow flag being waved at the top end to warn the drivers there's a hazard, and they've got to slow up and move over.
Full course yellow, is he not?
Well, he's trying, I suppose, to make up a little space. Here we go, and we see a replay. Now, look, the car just went right off there. Rocky just seemed to push out, and the car just went right out into the wall there and smacked into that wall. Very lucky. In fact, we had a situation very close to this that Ari Lyondike did, and there's no injury, obviously, to Rocky Moran. You saw him walk away. Ari had an accident, and look at that car smashing in there. That wheel could actually get into the side of the cockpit. That's what happened. We've seen that
happened with Kevin Cogan last week.
Happened last weekend with Kevin Cogan, and it certainly happened with Ari Lyondike. He didn't have any injuries, but Kevin Cogan has broken his arm in 2 places. Little Al took advantage of that, and he's right glued to his tail again. And he's striking for a move. Can he do it? He's done it!
Took it. Emerson went right into the wall, to the tires and the wall. And that is right through the chicane.
Well, it was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed enthusiasm, I'm afraid, and that was the situation of Little Al there. He took the opportunity, and we're certainly going to yellow there. Fittipaldi could easily have hurt his legs to fall and then into the wall. There's the replay. Now, watch Little Al here. He comes in the inside. Emerson doesn't expect him to do that. He's alongside. He's side by side, but not quite far enough. They collide there, and Fittipaldi is shot straight in to that wall there. That was heavy impact. Now, Fittipaldi will almost certainly say that Little Al is to blame.
From a driver's standpoint, who is to blame?
Well, this is a different angle of the same accident, and you can see Little Al took advantage coming out of that other corner. He ran up on him. Emerson was taking the traditional line. Little Al certainly accelerated at that point, and really it would be a hard call to say who was wrong.
Is there a right-of-way? Is there a right-of-way?
Well, there generally is. Look at this. Emerson's out the car, and he's now shaking his fist at Little Al as he went.
Very long half of the race for you, wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
We ran into trouble there right at the beginning of the race, and I guess
we have a crash, Larry.
The day, you know,
Al, we have a crash out on the racetrack. If you'd stand by, we'll find out exactly who it was. We understand it's Derek Daly.
It is indeed. He has crashed between turns 3 and 4. He has damaged the right side of that race car, torn the tires off of it, and this occurred in just about the same area of the racetrack that Derek had a devastating crash a few years ago, not in a 500, but in a race here at Michigan International, and let's hope that Derek is okay. Here's a replay, Steve.
Well, we pick him up when he's already against the wall. Now, the way the car was against the wall square, it looks as though it may have just pushed up to the wall. What caused that could have been a flat tire, or it could have been possibly some liquid on the racetrack. But when it goes in almost flat sideways like that, you could say it's something caused a push. The car didn't turn.
And you could
into the cockpit, and it got up, and they couldn't get his attention. Okay, well, hopefully he's okay. Right now they're working on the car. Let's go back to Charlie.
And we've got a crash. Is that in turn 3, coming out of 3?
Yes.
And the yellow, of course, back out.
Just before the start-finish line in 3.
That's Ari
Leyendijk, and he's done some serious damage to the front of that car. Looks like he went straight in. Ari is unhooking and trying to get himself out of the car.
All right, and we'll go back and pick up what happened to Ari Leyendijk. And he was in 10th place, and there he is.
Yes, he spun the car, obviously trying to get up to speed. Made a very hard impact with the wall in turn 3. The front of the car is severely damaged. We certainly hope that he's not injured.
It has been 7 years since A.J. Foyt won a race. He's won 67 in his career. He's the all-time winning driver. But right now we've got a spin in turn 2. Back upstairs to Charlie Jones.
And you can see the car that lost it in turn 2.
I think that's Phil Kruger. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Phil Kruger. He has a turbo fire. No urgency there. He's obviously trying to extricate himself. He hit the car with the right front. He had a foot hung up down inside, and it looks like he's favoring it heavily. They're getting him out of the car. They're getting the fire out on the car, so they is handling extremely well, and he's able to do anything he wants to.
Coming under Dick Simon here.
Oh, they come together.
Go to the wall.
Oh, what a hard crash.
And Danny Sullivan behind him also goes into the wall.
That was extremely brutal. The car is stopped. Mario's car is really disconnected, you might say. The engine cover's off. It's broken in half, it appears. Neither one of the drivers are getting out of their car very rapidly. There we saw Danny Sullivan's car parked backwards into the fence. Mario's still not moving.
And that's the first thing you look for in an accident, if the driver is at least
from it, but it looked like Dick just came down. They tangled, put Mario on the grass. He spun, took him up, and he whacked the wall pretty hard, destroyed all the right side of the car. And when all the smoke and everything came out, it was in there too hot and had to get on the brakes and just got the car crossed up and backed it into the fence.
So you become a victim on a day when it looked like you had a good shot at winning your second straight fight.
Down the backstretch.
That is a real race right there.
Now, how difficult is it to be in the front of that sort of heat going down 3,100 feet of asphalt here at Mid-Ohio, Johnny?
Well, I can tell you what, being back in it is the difficult part because you get a lot of spray on your... Oh, we've got a spin. Danny Sullivan spin. Al Unser Jr., Michael Andretti is off of the racetrack.
Now, remember, this could cause problems for all these cars, not necessarily bending the cars up, but because of the wet we've had all weekend, it is very slick out there, and Andretti seems to be doing the best getting back out.
Yes, he made it back all the way. Excel moving on the inside.
This is a battle actually for 5th position, people, and look at Bozell, and they are side by side as they work their crest around. Yeah, there was a bump.
Bump, and he got into the fence. Oh, that's a shame. It's Scott Pruitt touched the front of Bozell's car. They came together, and it threw him out of control, and he went right straight into the Armco on the side. I don't know whether they...
At what happened here is it was coming into madness, again working race traffic, and the man that took the advantage actually was Bozell. Bozell got a little crossways there, Scott...
Yes, you can see right there. They bump, and it turns him offline. He goes across into the grass, loses control, bang, sudden stop. That's got to be a
the right things, but many people say say that once he straps himself in the cockpit and gets the shield, and look.
Oh, no. There's
Ray Hall and Ludwig Heimrath.
Ludwig Heimrath Jr. are both off. Ray Hall is against the guardrail there. He's taken the... Uh-oh, he's coming out of the car.
He's not at all happy.
No, he is not. He's going over to have a few words with Heimrath Jr., and that's really a shame. You know, I'm sure Ray Hall is certainly upset, and rightfully so, about that, because that's the point. When you get in that situation, here's the replay. We'll watch and see exactly what happened.
Remember, we talked about race traffic for many, many times throughout this race. Let's see what happens.
Here he comes up on the inside, tries to make, and he lost it. That was the problem. He lost it in a slick spot, and they both.
You can't fault Heimrath for that.
Leader, and Rick Mears, his teammate, has dropped back to fourth after starting second. Now we go inside Al Unser Jr.'s car. And we have some cars off the track in turn number 3. We'll try to get an indication. There is one of them, the number 23 car of Folio Balabio from Monte Carlo. That's one of the Dick Simon entries. As you can see, he has slid off course, and the corner workers are trying to assist him and perhaps getting that car going again. Here's a replay.
We get a chance. He's just all by himself there on the inside, and he slid off, spun the car to the left and got into the tire barrier. Obviously, the tire's still a little cold there, and he...
Sullivan sees the pole from Rick Mears. Here's A.J. Foyt at the end of pit lane.
He slowed down.
For this trouble.
As Foyt slowed down and came into the pits, the pace car begins to roll. The yellow is out for the first time of the day because we have a car, young John Andretti, against the wall about halfway through the fourth turn. He undoes the steering wheel and begins to unsnap his harness and climb out. So obviously he is not injured. It's right side damage, though severe to the car. Young John Andretti climbs out of what, in all likelihood, is his last ride of this season. So John Andretti brings out the first yellow at 130.
Raceway in Monterey, California, the champion Sparkplug 300 being led right now by Danny Sullivan. Back at Laguna Seca, and Dale Coyne has crashed on the course. Looks like at the top of the corkscrew, Johnny.
Yes, that's one of those things where the car is heavily damaged. In fact, it's broken in half. We'll get a chance to look at it on a replay here to see exactly what did happen. Coming up this very fast uphill portion of the race course. You see a touch there. He goes 360 into Tony Bettenhausen. Was behind him there. He backs into the wall. The car breaks in half, and we certainly hope that
it was the number 16 car.
Tony Bettenhausen has come into the pits to
position. Following those, John Jones, Theo Bobby, and Ken Johnson, and Roberto Guerrero has spun. And that rear wing.
Something there. It looks like maybe his rear wing came adrift and caused him to spin. Fortunately, it was in one of the slower parts of the course, the new section, and the wing, as they say, has been coming loose all day. We've been having a problem with it. It finally came adrift, and you can see how much you rely on those aerodynamics. When the wing falls down like that and you lose it, the back of the car is like it's on ice. It takes off with a mind of its own, and you just sit there and go for the ride.
Past of the pace laps. 3 warm-up laps are complete. Danny Sullivan, Mario Andretti to the outside. The final corner. They're on the pit straight. We watch for Nick Fernaro's green flag. There it is. We race at Tamiami as Danny Sullivan jumps into the lead, and already there is a problem reminiscent of the first race here. Wassell is there. The Porsche of Theo Bobby is against the wall. Another call looks to be Derek Daly's car. That 12th car is the new rookie of the year, John Jones. Now on the course, the yellow flags fly only at the first turn, and Danny Sullivan, and there's A.J. Foyt. How terrible that Foyt is out so early. Roberto Guerrero's car. So a number of cars out right here on the start. The very same thing that happened the first year of this race.
Paul, I think everybody would have to agree that starting it right going into turn number 1 maybe isn't such a good idea. What happens is that the radius just continually tightens up as you get into the turn, and no matter what happens, you just can't funnel all those cars in such a small place.
John Jones is out of his car. Foyt has not yet climbed out. Derek Daly is out there. Is Scott Brayton out of his car? Roberto Guerrero is out of his car. All of the drivers appear to be all right, though we haven't seen Foyt climb out just yet.
We are talking about a third of the cars being out of this race as of the first lap.
So on the start of the race, there's Roberto Guerrero sprinting across the racetrack, and he climbs over the wall. We see the cars positioned at the end of the pace lap as they come off of the last turn. The green flag is given. Now watch back in the fourth row. The green car, Teo Fabi and Bossell to the left of the screen as they touch. And then Emerson Fittipaldi gets involved as well. And all of the cars go to the wall. 8 cars actually involved in this accident. 7 cars are out of the race as a result of this crash. And Emerson Fittipaldi, one of those involved in the accident.
Emerson, from your seat, what happened?
Oh, I didn't see. I was taking my normal line. I was on the inside line. And then...
All right, appears to be a victim. We look from the back of Al Unser Jr.'s car. The 2 cars, the green one in the center of the screen and the one just to the right of it. As Raul Boisel appears to crowd Teo Fabi into the wall, and then Emerson Fittipaldi gets involved in the accident as well. A.J. Foyt, one of those involved in this particular situation.
So involved in the first lap accident.